Okay, Torah Parshas Vayeshev, page Chav Tes. It's a bunch of Chanukah Maimarim we'll learn. Okay, Chafer, Bekislev, Yom Chanukah, the 25th of Kislev, the Gemara says that the days of Chanukah, Shenichnas Yivanim Lehechel. When the Greeks came into the Beis HaMikdash, they destroyed the whole thing. And then the Jews were looking for, they impurified all the oil, the Jews found the oil and so on. When Malchus Beis Chashmonai, the Chashmonaim were victorious. They won over them, and that lasted, instead of 1 day, 8 days. The Shana Acheres the next year, Kavam Chachamim, Yom Tev B'Halal Veidah. So the Chacham established it, it's Yom Tev and with Halal and Heidah, meaning Halal and Alanis. We need to understand the inyan of Halal and Alanis. Why did they make this takana? To light candles remembering of the Mikdash. Because they found one jug, they never made a similar type of thing by all the other miracles. Here they made a inyan of candles. The inyan of candles, they didn't do such a thing by any other Yom Tiv. What's also the connection between lighting Chanukah candles and Halal and Alanisim? So he says, the inyan is as follows. It says in the pasuk, Ner mitzvah v'Torah or. Ner is a mitzvah, and light is Torah is light. And the Gemara explains by there what that means. The candles are very little amount of light. Or is a lot of light. So he said, "V'yuven behegdam levarim and ner shebeis hamikdash." To explain, you understand all this by explaining first what the Menorah is in the Beis HaMikdash. Sha'amer Chazal say about it. Does Hashem need light? What is the purpose of lighting a Menorah? Normally you light a candle because you need light. Hashem doesn't need light. Not only that, the Gemara says that the windows in the Beis HaMikdash, normally when you have windows, it's to bring in light. The way the windows in the Beis HaMikdash were made was to take out the light. It's shown out, not in. It says in the pasuk, when Adam would kindle the Menorah, he should bring the Ketores. In the morning when he cleaned out and set up the candles, he should bring Ketores. Which means, at night he kindled the 7 candles, and the next morning he cleaned them and set them up. He only kindled the Ner Maravi, the western candle, which is the Ner Shishi, which is the 6th out of the 7th. So the Chayr is like this. Night he lit the candles, morning he cleaned them and set them up. Like, what does this whole thing mean? The inyan is as follows. The 7 Neiras said, why did they light 7 candles in the Menorah? Why not 2, 3, 6, 8? I mean, like, what's the cheshbon 7? So he says the 7 Neiras represent the 7 midas. The Zion Neiras, the 7 lights of the Menorah, correspond with the 7 midas. Therefore, b'chol mido. Every midah, just like you have chesed, which is ava of kedusha, you have chesed of evil, ava of evil. You have zeh u'mezeh, the klipa neged kedusha. You have evil opposite kedusha. Therefore, v'nyankes mi kedusha, and they get the nourishment from kedusha. Everything has to live from kedusha. Even evil sustains itself from kedusha. So the bottom line is, k'mei me'avad shebekedusha. Just like from Av of Kedusha, Chesed of Kedusha, comes through the chain of the world, becomes Taiva Gashmis, love of Gashmis, V'chein miyirah, the Kedusha, the same thing from fear of Kedusha. When it comes down all the way down, it comes Yirah V'chas. It comes into evil fear, anger, gaiva, haughtiness. Therefore, what's the role of the Yid? To refine them, transform them. To become part of Kedusha, that the midas should all be meaning. Love should be only for Hashem. Fear should be only for Hashem. In a level, so he says like this. The 7 candles on the Menorah correspond with the 7 midas. There's 7 midas of Kedusha and there's 7 midas of evil. The 7 midas of evil sustain themselves from Kedusha. So Chesed, Ava of Kedusha, is the source of Ava of evil. What's the person's function and purpose? And the purpose is to transform love of world to godliness. Transform anger and haughtiness, which is fiery, so to transform that to fire of Kedusha. How do you do that? So he says, the biru, the b'chachma, like it says in the expression, ki b'chachma is biriru. With chachma, you're able to select. If you have 2 things, one's good and one's bad, so you need seichel to know what's good and what's bad. What?
So the source of evil emotions is Kedusha is the source of evil emotions. You said it's also the source of emotions. Primarily, it's the source of Kedusha.
I understand. Yeah, you're not saying. When Ava of Kedusha comes down, it becomes Ava of evil. Therefore, now that we're down here and there's Ava of evil, our job is to transform the Ava of evil to Ava of Kedusha. Now, how is that done? With the level of Chachma.
In other words, the Ava of Nefesh Bamis.
Yeah. To trend b'chol
the source of Nefesh Bamis is the Ava of Nefesh Bamis.
No. The Ava of Nefesh Bamis is the Ava of Kedusha. The year of Nefesh Bamis is the year of Kedusha.
The source.
Yeah.
So besides the 7 midas of Kedusha being the source of Nefesh Elokis of the person, they're also the source of
No, they're not the source. They are part of the Nefesh Elokis. Is composed of Seichel and Midas. It's not the source of the Nefesh Elokis. The Nefesh Elokis has Seichel and Midas. Seichel of Kedusha and Midas of Kedusha. Now when these things of Kedusha come down, they become the Chesed Ava of Nefesh Bamis, Yira Gvura of Nefesh Bamis, and so on. It's not the source of Nefesh Elokis.
It's not the Seichel to direct.
So in order to choose between good and bad, and to realize love of world is bad, and love of Kedusha is good, you need Chachma. Not Seichel, Chachma.
How could the positive energy become a negative energy?
Oh. How's that possible?
If its source is positive, it must remain positive.
No, when it comes down, more symptom. From Atzilus is good. Then it comes into Bria, into Yitzir, into Asiyah, then it comes evil.
Because there's only one source of life. Like after filter, it's allowed to be.
Everything is Kedusha. Right. Then when Kedusha comes down, okay, I'll give you a very simple example. You can have a very wild kid. Right? Now you could channel his wildness to Kedusha for positive things, or you could channel it to evil. Now a kid is wild. A kid is wild. That wild can be used for good and could be used for bad. Somebody could be brilliant. You could use the brilliance for good. You could use the brilliance to destroy the world. Okay? So now, when you have a midah, the midas that need to be refined from evil to Kedusha, you need chachma, which is bittul, to understand this is good and this is bad. Love for world is bad. Love for world Kedusha is good. Without chachma, you can't choose which one's good, which one's right. And he says, Chachma, what is Chachma? Or is a level of light. Lahoyer is a midas to illuminate the midas, to shed light, to know what's good and what's bad. So he says like this, Laila, therefore at night, Like the Alter Rebbe said, why did they kindle the menorah at night, and during the day they just, cleaned it out and set it up? Light, which is the zman of cheshach, the time of darkness, is called zayin neiros. They had to illuminate all 7 candles. Okay, but during the day they only lit, like it says, it was only the 6th Menorah was lit. So during the day, one mashen can be yom adai lokas nerabai. In other words, like this: there's Erev, there's Boker, there's Laila, there's Yom. Laila is Gevura, Yom is Gilui, is Chesed. Right? Medically, it's a very interesting thing. When people are sick, Chas v'sholem, they feel worse at night than they do during the day. So whatever medicine says, fine, whatever the reason is. But according to Torah, it's a very simple reason. During the day is the attribute of chesed. So when there's chesed, you feel better. Laila is a level of gvura. So at night, you feel worse. Whatever the medical, you ask the doctors or whatever. But because at night needs more light. Night is cheshach. Therefore, at night, you have to kindle all 7 neiros. And this Alter Rebbe explains another basic fundamental thing also. And that is that neiros of the Migdash were lit indoors. In the Heichal. Right outside the Kodesh HaKadoshim. Chanukah is Pesach Meisim Mibachutz. If you think about it, a lot of things don't make sense. The Beis HaMikdash had 7 candles, Chanukah had 8. Yeah? If we remember, and not only that, every night they lit 7. So if we're commemorating a miracle that happened in the Beis HaMikdash, what we really should be doing is, for 8 days, every night we should light 7 candles. Like in the Mikdash, right? Where we commemorate the miracle that they lit the menorah with 7 candles every night for 8 days until they got new oil. So l'chayda Chanukah, the miracle should be, the mitzvah should be every night light 7 candles for a week, for 8 days. No, we don't do that. Number one, the Beis HaMikdash is 7, every day 7, and Chanukah every day is 1, 2, 3, 4. It doesn't make sense. Also, the menorah was lit inside. Chanukah menorah is lit outside. Pesach Beisim B'Bachutz. Right? No, not only that, in the time of the Gemara even, they didn't have like today. Well, they have like in Europe. You have a street, then you go into a courtyard. In the courtyard, let's say there were 10 houses. Okay? So you went from the street into a courtyard. Or then you had an alleyway, that off the alleyway would be many courtyards with many houses. Okay, in the time of the Gemara, Pesach Beisim Mibachutz, the Gemara says, not on the doorway of your house, outside. Outside the courtyard, in the street. That's where they lit the menorah. The most external place possible. Okay? And when do we light the menorah? Dafka at night. The Beis HaMikdash, they didn't light the menorah at night. They lit it before night. So there's a lot of differences in the difference between Chanukah and Beis HaMikdash. And throughout the Maimon, the Alter Rebbe is going to explain the difference. Okay, so he says, Shu'ik Hashpa, which is primary Hashpa, the Ner Maravi. Okay, so he says like this, at menorah at night in the Beis HaMikdash was because it was dark. They needed to kindle all the 7 neiros. During the day, Ner Maravi was enough. So he says, V'hinei yesh elam shana nefesh. Says in Chazal, there's Elam, Shana, Nefesh, which basically means, Elam means world, which is place, Shana is time, and Nefesh is person. There's person, time, and place. That's why it says by Har Sinai, by Matan Torah, it says Har Sinai, Oshan Kulei. Oshan is Elam, Shana, Nefesh. It's world, time, and person. So it's time, place, and a person. So whatever exists in world, exists in Shana, exists in Nefesh. So it says, just like Aaron by kindling the menorah. brought the level of Chochmah into the world, which is Zayin Bechinas Imad Midas Alyenis, Shebeseidev Anogas Ilam, just like he brought light into the world, he also brought it in the nefesh of the Jew. In other words, he also kindled the menorah of the Jew. Shem Yetze Yerech Yaakov, which are offshoots of Yaakov Avinu, like the pasuk says, and when the Yidden came to Mitzrayim, there were Shivim Nefesh, 70 people. What is 70? 7 times 10. The completion of each one of the midas composed of 10. Which is Neged Zayin Yetze Yerech Yaakov Yud Akiv. Hainu, the level of Yud, which is Chochmah, comes into the level of Akiv. So just like Aaron kindled the menorah in place, he also kindled it in soul. Okay, every Yid was so like this explains like another major point. It says in beginning of Parsha Balaischa that Aaron did it, Cain also. So he did. So it says, and Rashi quotes in the Medrash, what do you mean? It says in the Aaron did exactly like he was told. To tell us the Chiddush, the greatness, Gedulasi Shel Aaron, that he did exactly like Hashem told him to do. So the question is, what's the big deal? You light a menorah. I mean, what's the big... Every person lights candles. Every person lights Shabbos candles, menorah. I mean, what's the big deal that Aaron... He lit the candle, this is the way Hashem told him to do. Big deal, it's not a big deal. So Chassidus explains, when Aaron, what Alter Rebbe is saying here, when Aaron kindled the menorah, he's doing his 7 different types of Jews. They're Jews that serve Hashem with Ava and Yira and Rachman. There's 7 midas. Okay, they're Jews that primarily serve Hashem with love and fear and so on. When Aaron kindled the menorah, just like he was kindling it in a physical place in the Beis Hamikdash, when Aaron was doing that, he was kindling the neshama of every single Jew. He lit the first candle, it was the neshama of every chesed Jew, and second, every gvura Jew. So Aaron was doing not stam a physical act like we do. We light a match and light a candle, big deal. Aaron was kindling the menorah of every single Jew. It was a very complicated avodah. And he didn't get carried away with the kavanah that he knew what he was doing. Sometimes you get so overwhelmed with the kavanah that you could not do what you're supposed to do simply. So Aaron's greatness was, with all the kavanahs knowing that he was kindling the neshamas of every single possible Jew, he still did what he was supposed to do, correctly. That was his greatness. So he says, V'zel v'yodei echaz ba'kev Esav. Ki yodei is Esav yud, echazes is eikav shel Esav. It says like this, v'yodei echazes, v'yodei, yud daled vov, was holding on to Esav's heel. Now, yodei yud daled vov is the same letter as the yud vov daled, which is yud. So, what did Yaakov Avinu do? He held on to the heel, not to give power to Esav, to subdue it under the level of Kedusha, to breaking evil. In other words, why did Yaakov come out holding in Esav's hand? He is holding it to control it, that Esav shouldn't have a power of Klippa. So Yaakov, when he was born, was already trying to refine Esav, like we learned in all the other Maimorim. He tried constantly to elevate Esav. This is what he did. He held on to hold on to it, meaning to control it, that it shouldn't go wherever it wants. That was the hamshacha that Aaron did. When he kindled the menorah, Lahamshach, the Yud of Yaakov, which is Ara Chochmah, Yud is Chochmah. Lebchin, the Seikav, Shetiyan, Agam Midas Ativim, Shebenefesh Shabamis, Erlev, and Echlel is Bigdusha. In other words, like this, Aaron did not need to kindle the Midas of the Nefesh Lakis. Midas of the Nefesh Lakis want godliness anyway. What 7 midas was he kindling? The 7 midas of Nefesh Habamis, obviously. Because Nefesh Elokis is automatically illuminated. So Aaron HaKohen was kindling the Menorah of the 7 midas of the Nefesh Habamis, that they should also want Kedusha. That the Ava Jew should only want Ava of Kedusha, and the Yidder Jew only of Kedusha, and so on.
So the first night is Chesed, second night is Gevurah.
No, that's in the Beis HaMikdash. Now we have 8 candles. It's a different story. Beis HaMikdash, it was illuminating only levels, internal, meaning levels of Kedusha he was able to kindle. He wasn't able to kindle evil. Nefesh Habamis of a Jew is Klippus Noida. It's not evil. I mean, it's not Kedusha, but it's not the Shalosh Klippus HaTameis. It's a neutral level of evil. So, in the Beis HaMikdash, he kindled. Chanukah is unique that you do it outside, and you add every day another candle, and you reach the number 8, which is supernatural. In other words, the Chanukah has the ability to kindle even the darkness of the world outside in the public domain, shuk, which represents pluralism, diversity, lack of Yerushus HaYochid, lack of a private domain of Elokus. That's what Chanukah accomplishes. But that's why we'll learn that we don't, to commemorate Chanukah, we don't do the Menorahs of the Beis HaMikdash, because Chanukah is even greater than the Beis HaMikdash. The Rashi quotes it also, the beginning of Baleischa, when Aaron, when the Nesiim brought the Karbanos to dedicate the Mishkan, right? The whole last 90 psukim of Nase, right? They brought the same carbon seemingly. What? So it says, Chol Shadaita Shel Aaron. Aaron felt bad. All the Nesiim, Levi didn't bring a carbon. All the Nesiim, right, 12 tribes except Levi brought dedication, and Shevet Levi didn't. Aaron was like, Shevet Levi. So what happened? Hashem said, yours is greater than theirs. Why? Haneres halalu ein betelim la'ilam. Karbanos will stop, but your candles lighting the Menorah won't stop. Will be permanent. So don't worry, you're greater than them. But the question is, the Menorah and Beis HaMikdash also stopped. So the Medrash says, what are we referring to here? The Menorahs of Chanukah. That means the Menorahs of Chanukah are a continuation of the Menorahs of the Menorah, but not in the same way, in a much greater way. Again, 8, supernatural, at night, outside. The power of Chanukah is an unbelievable...
It's in the way that it should be during Galus.
Huh?
Now it's in the way that it should be during Galus time.
Correct. That now, even in... The Menorah and the Beis HaMikdash didn't exist when the Jews were in Galus. When the Jews were in Galus, there was no Beis HaMikdash, there was no Menorah. Because the Menorah and the Beis HaMikdash couldn't illuminate Galus.
So
But Chanukah could.
To his question, if it's not the 7 midas, what does it represent? The 8 nights, not 8 candles.
8 supernatural.
So it has nothing to do with the spheres?
It does... No, it's a level above the spheres.
So it's the 7 spheres also? And
Also elevated, but in a supernatural way.
so what's the 8th one?
The supernatural aspect. B'yom Hashmini.
So it is the 7 midas? The first 7 nights is the 7?
Yeah, but it illuminates the 7 midas of evil, because it's number 8.
So the first 7 nights is Chesed Gvurah?
Yeah.
And the 8th one is?
The 8th one is Chanukah. It's the koyach, no, but it's the koyach that gave all the other 7 the ability to light in the dark. Okay.